Good morning. Om Sato Ma Sadgamayo Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamayo Mriturma Amritangamayo Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om. Peace, peace, peace. The subject of my talk today is Shiva in dance and meditation. You can see that two statues are there. I borrowed them from our bookstore. One is Shiva in meditation. Another statue is Shiva in dance, in dancing posture. So there are significances of these two statues. That is the subject matter of today's talk. Of course, I shall talk about other aspects of Shiva. But first we need to know what is Shiva. We always talk about what is called in Vedanta Brahman, ultimate reality. But this ultimate reality is incomprehensible from the point of view of common sense. Common sense in a sense that through our senses it cannot be really perceived. But we need to know what it is and we need to derive benefit out of that also. And for that reason we see that in ancient times some concepts have been concretized, and in that way we have different mythological pictures or mythological images. Concepts of mythology has been concretized in that way. So we need to know what is really mythology. In all religions there is mythology, that means which has been experienced or told or preached in ancient times about the things which are really incomprehensible to ordinary mind. That means which are in the realm of spirit or spirituality. That means they are there. They can be perceived by certain methods, or some people have, because of the practice of certain disciplines, they have realized them. And others also in the same way practicing the same discipline have perceived them. So in that way they have been concretized into mythology. So a few words of Swami Vivekananda about mythology will be very good for us to understand what is mythology and how actually we benefit. The point is that there are many subjects, there are many things to study, so there are plenty of efforts to understand things of different nature. But why mythology is important for spiritual seekers, that we need to know, and how we can take the help of them for our spiritual growth. In different places Swami Vivekananda has talked about mythology. In one place he has said that in every religion there are three parts: philosophy, mythology and ritual. So we know philosophy, Vedanta is a philosophy, and there are other 6 systems of philosophy that has come to us from our original scriptures. They have been extracted, and in that way scholars mostly think of that and they deliberate that, and in that way different opinions are that. In that way philosophies are important for intellectual understanding. Then there are mythologies. Mythologies are actually disputable in a sense. That means some people will believe that they are just stories. We need not pay much attention. Probably philosophers will say mythologies does not have any use for us because they are myths. Myths means which are really not true. So in that way they are not important to certain people. But mythology is important to certain other people also. That means those are seekers of spirituality. And of course rituals are there. Rituals we do, that is exact practices which assures or which has come down to us, which can lead us, these physical practices, to a realization of God or have some higher experiences. So these three are really part of every religion. It is not that in Hinduism it is there, but in other religions also they are there. So in some other religion a certain aspect is emphasized, but in Hinduism we see that these three are coming down since ages, that means since ancient times, and it is still alive. That means philosophy is there, then mythology is there, and also rituals are there. Equally they are practiced, those who are seekers of God. So we are coming to the mythology, and Swami Vivekananda has said that in every religion you will find that there are three branches. If you just dissect a religion, you will find that philosophy is there, mythology is there, rituals are there, their propagators are also there. That means somebody has taken mythology as their subject and somebody is practicing a ritual. In that way it has happened. Now what is now coming to the only mythology, Swami Vivekananda is saying, mythology explains and illustrates the philosophy by means of the more or less legendary lives of great men. Men and other men and definitely women also, but otherwise also they have been concretized in this way. That means they have visualized, because we cannot think of what is called unknown except what we have perceived in our through our senses. So we project those experiences to what we cannot see. So in that way mythology has come down. That means we project our senses to unseen objects, and in that way they have been concretized. So in that way mythology has come down to us. In that sense the mythologies are true, that the apparent man, however great he may be, was only a dim reflection of the real man who is beyond. Considering of the object as a man, he is saying that it is a sort of imagination that what he was, and we have projected in our mind. In that way we are really worshipping him or utilizing him for our spiritual growth. Then he is saying, come not to mythology with the ideas of history and reasoning. This is very important, because we are very much into sciences today, which is within the realm of senses or extended senses. That is, many things we do not know, atom we do not know, but still we believe, because yes, there are ways by which actually we can find out the truth of existence of atom. So the point is this, that means Swami Vivekananda is saying that you should not approach mythology with the ideas of history and reasoning. History means mythology is very ancient. I actually say in this way that we can divide, especially in Indian context, the spirituality into two parts. One is the mythological part and another is the incarnation part. That means the ancient series of, say, spirituality, God's appearance, the practices of God and all those things come into the realm of mythology. Of course they are still continuing, but the point is that because there is a necessity of concretize them in the human form, probably another series started, that is avataras. Avataras are really historically true. At least we can find from the point of view of last few avataras, that means historical proof has been found that they really existed. These two series, if you call it, are very important for our spiritual practices, for the concentration of the mind. Those who do meditation, you know that it is possible to concentrate the mind on focusing the mind on some spiritual objects, especially spiritual entities. Ishwar pranidhanadva, that means thinking of God as a human being, or in any being. That means a form which is divine, and focusing the mind on that, we can concentrate the mind. Otherwise, it is very difficult, those who have practiced meditation, to concentrate the mind as such. There are many methods, but still this is probably the easiest, and it will be, anybody can really take help of this, and many people are taking help of this, and in that way they are getting the benefit. That is why we go pay respect to what is called Krishna, we pay respect to Rama, we respect to Jesus Christ, we pay respect to Buddha. In that way we see that mind becomes concentrated by approaching them in a respectful way. So in that way actually it is helpful, because those who are serious to concentrate the mind, they will take any way, whatever ways are available and whatever ways actually works for an individual, that they will take. So in that way they are very helpful. So now the point is this: mythological gods and goddesses are as such, from our point of view, we can think that they might have existed, but they are definitely an imagination of ancient people, how God or ultimate reality will look, and we can really focus our mind, and in that way they have come down. So mythologies have been concretized or has been written down in our Puranas mostly. That means they are a mixture of history as well as a little bit of imagination, and also folk stories, and in that way they have come down. As such, they are very useful, especially for the cultivation of devotion. Now just another quotation I would like to share with you. Swami Vivekananda says, God is one, but his aspects are many. As it is impossible for us to worship him in all his fullness and glory, we take up some aspect or other of the Lord. But even in order to approach him through any of his personal aspects, as Shiva, Vishnu or Brahma, we need the help of different symbols, material, verbal or mental. The symbol is not the reality. It is only a means of remembering the Lord through association of ideas. So that actually clarifies how they are very much useful to us. So we do not know how that tradition has come down, but it has come down and it is still going strong. And today I have specially chosen the subject of Lord Shiva, especially two aspects, in meditation and also in dancing, because they are very popular and very well known. Now this Shiva ideal, as you know, those who have studied a little familiar with the Vedanta, that means we have the ultimate reality which is one without second, and we are part of that, whatever it may be. So that is called Brahman. But it is really a part of it is a realizable material. That means you cannot really perceive through our senses. So these this aspect has been divided into three aspects. That means our creation is there. That means we see that things are being created, something has been already created, and also we see that something which has been created, they are vanishing also from our eyes. We are born, we live, and then ultimately we die, and our form vanishes. In that way, that is always happening. And these three aspects are there in what is called in the whole cosmos. And that has been concretized in forms. That means just imagination. Through imagination it has been concretized into three aspects. One is called Brahma, that means creator aspect. Same entity, but in the aspect of creation is called Brahma. And the same entity which is preserving, that means maintaining everything, that is called Vishnu. And the third aspect, which is called annihilation, that means things are going away, vanishing, that is called Shiva. But these three aspects are not really what is called watertight. It is not really very, they are all the three aspects are present in every aspect, but one aspect has been emphasized or has been brought out or thought of in these three images, if you call it, in three concepts. So one is Brahma, creator, then Vishnu, the preserver, and the Shiva is the destroyer or annihilator. So these three has been concretized, and in that way we see the mythologies have been built up. And today, of course, we shall talk about the Shiva aspect that is very relevant in today's, for today actually, because tomorrow we are celebrating Shivaratri. Now one thing is important to know, that since they are imagination, if you call it roughly, there is no birth of this. Brahma does not have any birth, Vishnu does not have any birth date, or Shiva also does not have any birth date. But how actually celebrate their, what is called, special days, or we celebrate their advent. So they are also tradition. It is not that Shiva was born on Shivaratri day. It is not really, that is not the case. Because Shiva is eternal. That means he is not only, but he is ultimately Brahman, but we have thought of him in this aspect. So in that way, they do not have any origin. That means they are eternal. Vishnu is eternal. Brahma is also eternal. So that we have to keep in mind, that we are not really, we cannot celebrate, or we do not celebrate the birthdays of these Brahma, Vishnu, and what is called Shiva. But we celebrate the birthday of Lord Krishna, we celebrate the birthday of Rama. So in that way, their birthdays are there because they took the human form. They are in human form, they are gods. That means they reach the highest, not only highest, that means super highest if you call it. That means they are, no human being be like them. That is the point. So in that way we see original Shiva, that means Shiva means the auspicious one, the word, etymological meaning if you call it, that means auspicious one. And from ancient times this concept was there, and we see, especially those who are historians or those who are archaeologists, they always try to find out how ancient is the concept. So we see that this concept was there, and their images and all those things are available or have been found in many, that means maybe 5,000 years before Christ also. Some images have been discovered, and in that way that concept has come down throughout the history. And also in our scriptures there are mention of one, what is called one aspect of ultimate reality, which is known as Rudra. Rudra is annihilator, and in that way it has come down, and it seems that that concept has been transferred into the concept of Shiva. The word, it is a matter of, if you call a Rudra, then we shall understand that it is Shiva. So in that way, the word as such, Shiva word is a later word that has been added or has come down from Rudra that we find historically. And from another aspect, it is also seen that probably it has come down. Those who are not really very much into spirituality, they will say, anthropologists if you say, they will say that yes, probably it has come down from the tribal concept of some great warrior or great person. In that way also, there are many stories associated with the life of Shiva who actually can be thought or maybe traced to tribal origin according to anthropologists. Now, Shiva as such became very much established by the time of the Christian era. That means maybe 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago it has been concretized, and his forms are established in that way. And not only in India, later on we see that this concept was carried in the many parts of the Asian countries, especially in the eastern part of India. We will find this concept have propagated. And especially in time of Ramayana Mahabharata, it is very much well established. Ramayana Mahabharata maybe 3,000 years ago, or 3,000 years before Christ, if you call it. So in that way they are established, and in Ramayana Mahabharata there are mention of Lord Shiva. Now, what is the aspect of Shiva? Two things are important. One is destroyer and liberator. Liberator concept is important in Hinduism. That means our soul is always being born and dying until and unless, that means we are being born. That means we are taking forms, physical forms. That means with the materials of the earth, if you call it, the soul is taking different forms. And this form continues till actually we get liberation. Liberation means, that means the spark of spirituality, which according to Vedanta is the part of ultimate reality. That means each one of us have that spark of spirituality or Brahman, if you call it, until and unless it realizes true self. That means until and unless it knows that I am part of Brahman. Realization means it is to be spiritual realization. It is not intellectual understanding or just a consent by logic. It has to be understood or realized through spiritual practice. That is possible, that we see that sages have shown the way. So in that way actually this liberation, until and unless actually we get liberated, this will be, that means the form will come. And Shiva actually is the aspect of liberator. Destroyer of course is true, that means body is getting destroyed, that means it is in the chemicals of the body that are there. So with the death, with our death actually that is getting mixed up again with the materials of the earth. So in that way these two aspects are really speciality of Shiva. Shiva is associated with that. Brahma with creation and Vishnu with the preservation, that means bodies and soul actually are remaining together as long as it can. Then actually there is a time when actually our body is getting destroyed. Age or what may be accident, whatever it may be, somehow or other it will get destroyed. Nobody will disbelieve that. And ultimately the soul also gets separated. And as I told you, until and unless we realize our true self or become one with the Brahman, again the body will come. That is the belief, and logically also it becomes, we can understand that. So these two special aspect is really what is called the area of where actually Shiva is important. That means he plays that concept of Brahman as Shiva is really in these two aspects, they have been concretized. Now, because the death, association of death, so naturally wherever there is death, actually there are many legends and stories that we see, Shiva is associated. If you remember, those who have studied the life of Sri Ramakrishna will know that Sri Ramakrishna once went to the city of Varanasi. And this city of Varanasi is ever existing. Ever existing means there are several cities, not in India only, but in other places of the globe also, cities which does not have any, nobody has found out how actually it originated. That means there is no history about that. The Sacramento, 150 years or 155 years ago, actually some people came and settled it. But Varanasi and such other cities, there are few cities whose origin, when they are established, nobody knew. So Sri Ramakrishna went to that city, and there is a temple of Lord Shiva, and for that which is it is very famous. And also there is a cremation ground. That means very famous. There are many cremation grounds, but one of them is very famous, which is known as Manikarnika Ghat. That means many people live in Varanasi with the expectation that they will die there and their body will be consigned to flame in that sacred historical cremation ground. So Sri Ramakrishna went to see that place, and there actually he had the vision. Because he was a spiritual person, so he used to have visions of different gods and goddesses, as you know, because his high mind used to go into the higher realm of spirits. And there actually he saw Lord Shiva is present as if, and not as if, that means in his vision actually he saw that he is liberating the souls. Liberating the souls means the physical body is being cremated, that means it is being burnt and ashes, all the chemicals are going down to the earth. But at the same time, the separation of the soul from the body physically actually Lord Shiva is doing, and actually it is releasing and it is becoming one with the ultimate reality. So this is a vision. Those who believe, for them it is very true. Those who do not believe, of course, it is a matter of conjecture, probably it is a story. So whatever it may be, this aspect is there, liberator aspect is there in Shiva. That is why he is very much respected, or his importance is supreme. That means otherwise, if we are not liberated, actually we have roam around in this universe forever. So there should be some way to get liberation, and he is the master of liberation. Of course, it doesn't mean that Brahma and Vishnu cannot do, but they also do that, but those aspects are really not what is called emphasized in their in them. That is the point. But in Shiva, actually, that is the most important part that we see. Now, so he is what is called essence of Shiva is the destroyer, and because he is associated with the what is called cremation and all those things, he lives in jungles, cremation grounds, and such other places, and moves with animals and ghosts, if you call it. So in that way, he is there. So there are many stories associated with that of Lord Shiva. That means he has been envisioned, and also in mythology, the different stories that how actually he lives in the Himalayas, and there he had what is called, his wife is there, Parvati, and there are dialogues and all those things, which are spiritual dialogues, which we really study for spiritual knowledge. So in that way, they have come down to us. And he lives on the high mountains, Himalayas, and beyond Himalayas, Kailash as it is called, which is now in Tibet, in China. And it is said that is the place where actually he is eternally residing. And there actually it is said that the dialogue and all those things happening or happened, and in that way it has come down. Many people go, and it is actually a tourist place, if you call it spiritual tourist place or religious tourist place, and in that way many people go and visit that place. That means Kailash. And of course there are other shrines all over the Himalayas where people go to pay the respect of Lord Shiva's shrines. In that way it is happening. So the point is these two statues are there. Unfortunately they are of not the same size, but statues, as you statues, they are complete in a depiction. So on the right side, which is there, on my left side, but on your right side, that is the statue which is in meditation. That means Lord Shiva is in meditation, or in that dress, if you call it, and when he is having dialogue with Parvati, that means spiritual dialogue. Parvati asking question, and in that way, spiritual question or stories, and he is depicting. And that is the more benign aspect that is worshipped throughout. We have a statue of this similar type in our garden, that means in the Garden of Sense, and it is made of concrete, and it is outdoor statue, so it is made of concrete, and it depicts more or less like this. Now the point is that he is not really as such just bare-bodied. He has some decoration and all those things, which needs to be what is called, some explanations are there which may, those who are interested, they may find it very helpful or intriguing. That means why actually he is like this, why he is wearing this, that one. So what does it mean, what is the meaning of that object that is with him. So a little bit explanation for that will be helpful. So Shiva actually, he is three-eyed. Three-eyed means there are physically human beings have two eyes, but it is said that there is another eye which is really submerged in the middle of the two eyes, which is the what is called Gnanachakshu. That means it is the eye of knowledge. When it opens up, actually we really become. Of course, it doesn't break the what is called forehead and comes out. In that way, it is not in a nascent form, but it is a concept that our knowledge, spiritual knowledge, is the means that third eye has opened. And Lord Shiva is always in spiritual knowledge, so his third eye is always open. So in his face, the third eye is depicted. So Shiva often depicted with a third eye, and also it has got that capacity to what is called to destroy lust and all those things. There are stories behind that, because gnana, as such, knowledge actually destroys all the passions. So in that way, it is also a projection of that eye, or the sight of that eye that destroys these passions. So he has got name Trambakam. There are in a religious literature, all the gods, many of the gods and goddesses have 108 names, 1008 names, 10,000 names. In that way, there are many, many names. So one name of Lord Shiva is Trambakam. That means who has three eyes. Then there is what is called, there is a crescent moon is there. That means on his head there is a moon. So he actually got hold of the moon and put him as a decoration, it is said. So that shows his what is called greatness. Greatness means great power. And then there is he is smeared with ashes. Of course, ashes are not very visible, but in general, ashes are there in the clay images that is very easily seen. So ashes means as a represent a reminder that all material existence is impermanent, comes to an end and become ash, which is really very true. That means our body, when it is cremated, becomes ash. So that reminds, so that is why he has smeared ashes on his body. And matted hair is a sort of mountain or a sort of depiction of the mountain from where actually ultimately there is a story that Ganges actually came out. Came out in a sense, the story of Ganges is like this. That means Ganges was propitiated by a sage, and Ganges originally actually, the origin of Ganges is in the heaven. That means it is beyond material earth. So she was propitiated, but when the sage propitiated, Ganges said that, well, how shall I come down? If I come down, so my torrents will destroy the whole earth. So then actually that sage approached Lord Shiva, and Shiva agreed that he will hold that, what is called pressure or force, with which actually Ganges will come down. In that way, in his matted hair actually, Ganges leaped, as it is said. That means first flow came, and then actually it came down, and it is flowing through India, as you know. So in that way, that story is that matted hair actually is the what is called landing place for Mother Ganges. Then there is the blue throat. That, of course, I do not see it is depicted in that way, but in traditional image of Lord Shiva, the throat is blue. There is a story behind that also. The story is like this. That means once gods and demons churned the ocean and tried to find out nectar, but instead of nectar, tremendous amount of poison started coming, and it was so poisonous that nobody actually dared to approach it. Then they propitiated Lord Shiva, said that if you can save us by managing this what is called poison, then we shall be saved. Otherwise we shall die because of this poisonous thing that has come out. Instead of nectar, poison has come out. Then Shiva, out of his graciousness, actually took hold of that in a pot, that poison, and drank it. You can see the drinking of the poison means sure death. So at that time, when Parvati, his wife, came to know, she came running and just grabbed the throat. So the poison actually could not go to his stomach and what is called kill him. Whatever, this is the story. That is why it is said he is a drinker of poison. That means all the negative things that are there actually he collects, and actually in that way he holds them, so that that means those who are really sinners, or if you call it, that have negative qualities, we are resolved. That means we can get rid of those things. In that way he is really Nilakantra, as it is called. Then he is meditating. That means he is always in meditation. That means that is his usual posture. But time to time, when people or his devotees propitiate him, so naturally it is a sort of, nowadays we have cell phone, that means it rings, but in those days actually, in meditation actually they used to be disturbed in meditation. If somebody is calling somebody, so if he is doing meditation of that person, and that person is meditation, he will actually get the call. That means it will, I do not know whether it is a ring or whatever it may be, but his mind is drawn to that person, at least. So he thinks that, oh, he is remembering me, so I need to appear before him. So then he goes there and then propitiates him, that, oh, I am very happy that you have remembered me, so ask for boon or whatever it may be, why you have called me. So in that way actually he goes and does whatever is necessary. So in that way the stories are there. Ravana's story is there, which is very well known. That means he propitiated Lord Shiva just to get immortality. And not only immortality, he said that you have to come down from the residence in Kailash to my kingdom and make a permanent residence there. So Shiva, because he was so given to the devotees' wish, so they have called him, and he was so much happy, or whatever it may be, he had to make him happy, Ravana. So he said that, yes, I am ready, you can take me. And there are some conditions actually he gave, but ultimately he did not have to go to what is called Ravana's place, which is now Sri Lanka. But the story is that gods have to go to the devotee when they call him. That means if the call is intense, actually their meditation will be disturbed, and they will say, oh, this person is disturbing me, so let me go. Why he is doing that? Then actually he makes him whatever necessary he does. So that is why he is always in meditation. And as I told you, Ganga actually, that means he is the bearer of the river Ganga. That is called, his another name is Gangadhara. Then he has the tiger skin because he roams in the forest, and he is what is called Pashupati. That means he is the lord of the animals also. And serpent is there. That means it is a garland of serpent is always there. The serpent is a creator, or it contains venom. So in that way also serpent is his garland. Then he carries a trident. Trident is the symbol of, as I told you, creation, preservation and destruction in that way. That is there, that shows that he is the representative of the ultimate reality, if you call it in that way. So in this way we see. Then he has drum. There are 4 arms that is depicted. One arm on the right side, the upper arm is with a drum. And drum actually, it is like a hourglass, and it is that when actually he plays it, it is the what is called, it is dancing. That means the creation is coming, and it is being destroyed. So that is the depiction, that through drum, sound symbol actually creation and preservation and destruction is happening. In that way it is done. And especially in dancing posture, which I shall come now, that is very important. So Damaroha, so that means Damarohan. So it is called is to drum. The drum is particularly used to emblem members, and they are depiction of the different sound symbols that are coming. That means we have the greatest sound symbol, which is Om. So when the drum is really played, that sound, that means similar to that sound, that means Om coming. So we say all the sound that has come is really originating from that. That is the purpose of the drum. Then rosary beads are there, which is really a Rudraksha bead, and which is sacred. And there are that means all the words or letters that has come down, they depict each of the that bead actually represent that. Then he has what is called he has a carrier also, that is not here. All the gods and goddesses have a carrier. Carrier in a sense, now the president of this country has a what is called that aircraft, that means number 1 or something. So everybody will need a carrier to go from here and there, and gods and goddesses will have to go to different places to propitiate their devotees or to see things. So naturally they have to have a carrier. So he has a carrier which is what is called a bull. It is called Nandi. So on that actually he travels. In that way, the iconography, if you call it, from the point of view of scholars or from the point of view of devotee, that means Lord Shiva, the image is like that, and it is being worshipped in that way. So that is the most popular or most standard image of Lord Shiva. Now there is another image of Lord Shiva, which is known as Nataraja. Nataraja, as I said, that Damaru, that means that drum that is there, and with the play of the drum, he also dances. And this dance is actually also has been depicted or has been explained in this way. That means with his rhythm, actually creation, destruction and preservation, all those things are happening. That is symbolized. And this is a very popular symbol. And I shall tell you that how popular it is even to the rational mind also. So let us see first, that means what the explanation of this image that is there. So you see the dance, he is dancing. That look to the bigger statue of Lord Shiva. So he dances within a circular or cyclically closed arch of flames, which symbolically represent the cosmic fire that in cosmology creates everything and consumes everything. Just like a fireball, that means actually it is divided, and it inside from the fire actually things are coming. And nowadays you will see that scientists are saying that, well, actually at the beginning things were just like, we have come down, the earth has come down from sun, just a fireball. So in that way, everything has come down from a fireball. So when actually creation starts, actually it is coming out of the fire, and that is depicted by that round circle of fire. And of course there are other explanations also. That means it represents evils and dangers and other things in our daily life. So in that way also he is inside that. The arch of the fire flame emerges from, there are two animals, mokoro. Mokoro means like crocodiles. And they are what is called mythological images from whose mouth it is coming out, as it is a decoration. Then his legs are bent, you see, that suggests energetic. That means it is not that he is quietly spacing here and there. It is actually he is dancing tando, that means vigorous dance he is doing. And in that way everything is very dynamic. And there are matted hairs, they are flying here and there, and that because of the ecstasy, that means he is in this dance actually is an ecstatic dance. That means he is full of bliss. In that way he is dancing, joy. It is not what is called out of sorrow or out of any exposition that he is dancing, but out of joy. That means he is happy and full of bliss. That is why he is dancing. Now look at the hands. The upper right hand holds a small drum shaped like the hourglass and called damoru. And this special gesture is, that means it symbolizes the rhythm and time. We have the concept of time. Our time concept is really associated with the movement of the earth. But there are many, many other concepts of time that are available. That means nowadays time is very precise also. So in that way the concept of time is associated with that hourglass type of drum, which is damoru. So in that way he's creating, or time is created out of that sound or out of that damoru. Then upper left hand, and there is fire. So that is the symbol of creation and destruction. Destruction, as you know, physical things are destroyed as a cremation ground. It is associated with fire. And as I told you, creation also nowadays we know that is from a fireball everything is come. So the fire is the symbol of creation and destruction. Then there are what is called the snake is also there, and at the same time there is one posture which is known as, the hand has a special posture which is known as Abhaya Mudra, that which means fearlessness. So it suggests that don't be afraid. That means this is, if you just try to imagine all those things, fire, then what is called eternity, the life and death and all those things, you may be afraid. But it is not really a fearful thing. That is why he is saying that don't be afraid. Abhaya Mudra. Abhaya means giving fearlessness. So suggesting that not to fear nearby evil, and as well as evil and ignorance surrounding the devotees as he follows righteousness dharma. He is saying that if you are in the right path, don't be afraid. So that is being depicted by this hand. So there are evils in this life and there are destruction in this life, but don't be afraid of that. But if you are leading a righteous life, you will be all right. That is the point. Then lower left hand is the bent downward, and it is the palm, what is called the wrist with the palm facing inward from the point of it towards the raised left foot, and it is known as, it is also a Abhaya Mudra, another aspect of the same. He is as if he is giving a boon, that means blessing. That is the posture that is being depicted. Then there are other things, that means face has the two eyes plus another eye, as I told you, that means third eye, which is the eye of knowledge. And there are also the explanation that is sun, moon and fire. The third eye interprets as inner eye, which is the knowledge. Knowledge means, that means it's destroyer of ignorance. So fire, as fire destroys what is called ordinary things. In that way, knowledge destroys the ignorance. So in that way, third eye is being depicted. And there is another thing at the feet, at the one of the foot. You see, one foot is in the dancing posture, but another foot is resting on a what is called dwarf. The dwarf one, which is Natarajo, that means this is the dancing, so it is called Natarajo posture. It is called Apasmara Purusha, that means as it known, it symbolizes the action of dance that leads to victory over demonic evil and ignorance. That is the symbol of what is called all the evil things of the cosmos. So he is actually destroying, that means he is subduing by that symbol, symbolically that Apasmara, that dwarf, is the symbol of ignorance and evil. So he is destroying that. That is why he is dancing over that. And of course, the face is really smiling. In all the statues, you will find that that means an inscrutable smile. You see in this picture of our Buddha, there is smiling. If you just look at a little bit more, give you a little time to what is called look at the face, you will see that smile is coming out of the face. So gods and goddesses have that type of what is called representation, because their mind is inward and they are always enjoying the inner bliss. So that is depicted through the smile of the face, irrespective of what they are doing. That means their mind is immersed into that. So the slightly smiling face of Shiva represents his calmness, despite being immersed in the contrasting forces of universe and his energetic dance. So though he is really active from the outward sense, but inside actually he is really enjoying that bliss. So in that way it has been depicted. This statue is very popular in South India, and there is a place called Chidambaram, and there is a big temple. Now, as I told you, what is the connection with the rational mind with this Shiva, especially this Shiva statue of what is called Nataraja. So I have told you several times, but I would like to, in this context, just once in a year I remember this. So let me explain to you. The parallel, this is one scientist who actually taught in, I do not know whether he is still alive. He taught in Berkeley, and he has written Tao of Physics. That is a very popular book, physics. Many people actually read. Even now Ranganathanji used to quote from that book. So he said, the parallel between Shiva's dance and the dance of the subatomic particles was first discussed by Fitjob Kappa in an article titled The Dance of Shiva, the Hindu View of Matter in the Light of Modern Physics. So you see, rational minds also find similarity or parallelism in the ancient mythology. It is truth. As I told you, mythology means it is a depiction of the mind of what is called the ultimate reality in the manifest stage. So that concept, it was in mythological state, but in rational mind. That means those mind which actually believe in the existence of this from the point of view of the physical perception only. That is the way actually modern scientists think. So he is saying the Hindu view of matter in the light of modern physics. And it was published on such and such place in 1972. Shiva's cosmic dance then became a central metaphor of Kappa's international bestseller, The Tao of Physics, which was published in 1975 and still in print. And already it has gone 40 editions and still going strong. This is one aspect. That means first, it is historically, if you call it, how in the literature, scientific literature, it has come down. So, but very recently, that means in the last few years or in a decade, it has been, not decade, in 2004 actually. As you know, very recent, there is a very big machines which discovered the subatomic particles, which is beyond common persons who accept through media or whatever we understand. That is the thing that has come down to us. But definitely beyond, it is a very important issue that scientists are always thinking of or working on. So, as you know, there is one very big, what is called a particle accelerator, that is a machine of physics where they discover the different elementary particles. So when that was really established, that means it is an international project. So many scientists from different countries help or the work there. From distance also they work. So when that machine was inaugurated or dedicated, from the some scientists thought that this mythological image of Lord Shiva is the most suitable description of this machine, if you call it. So what had happened? It has, that means, in 2004, a tall statue of dancing Shiva, that means this statue, that means Chidambaram's a posture of Nataraja, was unveiled at CERN, the European Center for Research in Particle Physics in Geneva. So I have never been there, but as I see the pictures nowadays, you need not go, you can see all those things in internet. So they have this statue installed. Usually what happens, the statues of some big scientist or somebody who is a big donor, they established in that way in front of the big institutions. That is understandable, but it is an international project, and the project is such a universal nature, cosmic nature. So what actually will describe the thing that is being done here? So they actually selected this statue of Lord Shiva to be established, to be put there. CERN is Switzerland's preeminent center of research into energy, the world's largest particle physics laboratory till now. After this, they feel that probably there are other subatomic particles, so they will make another big one. That is the goal. But still, at present, it is the world's largest particle physics laboratory, and the place where core technologies of internet were first conceived. We have internet, because the project is so large that all the scientists could not be accommodated there. So they are all distributed throughout the world in different laboratories of the world. A special plaque below the Shiva statue explains the significance of the metaphor of Shiva's cosmic dance with a quotation from this Fritjof Capra's book, an American physicist. So it is saying, modern physics has shown that the rhythm of creation and destruction is not only manifest in the turn of seasons and in the birth and death of all living creatures, but is also the very essence of inorganic matter. And for the modern physicists, then, Shiva's dance is the dance of subatomic matter. Hundreds of years ago, Indian artists created different forms of visual images of dancing Shiva in a beautiful series of bronzes. That is that has come down to us. So this is a tribute. You see the ancient concept, ordinary, what is called spiritual concept, that rational minds actually are intrigued. That means I cannot say that they will worship Lord Shiva and go to the Shiva temple and put water and all those things, but the concept that actually is there, ordinary person for spiritual purposes do it for their spiritual growth. But even the scientists, rational minds are actually finding the truth behind this concept, which is very helpful and has come down as a tradition in our Hinduism. And that means it is a connection between spirituality and material science that you can see. That means they are really converging in one place. So today's, I thought that instead of showing in pictures, if it is done in physical object, probably it is more concrete. So I borrowed these two statues from our bookstore. This statue of dancing Shiva, I see from here, probably you cannot see, it is not for sale. That is available on sale. I shall play a song to end my talk, which is dedicated to Lord Shiva. It is a very beautiful song, and this song is available in one of the CDs, so I thought it will be appropriate to play that song, and I think it can be arranged in this way.
बारी रहो है तापरयति पुरबैया बारे बरोबर बारी रहो है तापरयति पुरबैया थर थर थरावत कंपत हिया मेरो थर थर थरावत कंपत हिया मेरो शिव की देत दुहैया अब शिव पार करो मेरे नैया सहाय प्रभात पुकारत देवी सहाय प्रभात पुकारत शिव पितु गिरिजा मैया देवी सहाय प्रभात पुकारत शिव पितु पितु गिरिजा मैया अब शिव पार करो मेरे नैया औ घट घट अगाध जलधि औ घट घट अगाध जलधि बलि लागे अब शिव पार करो मेरे नैया अब शिव पार